In this video, I will talk about the importance of having a second brain and the 5 steps for creating and maintaining it. Let's get started. A second brain is a very popular and fancy term for your digital reference system, which contains all the information you find valuable and can be activated at any moment to propel you forward. And in more concrete terms, the second brain is your note-taking app. It's a program on your computer and phone where you can input text and search for them afterwards. And from there, your second brain has a nervous system in the form of file managers, bookmarks, shortcuts, highlights, and other functions. And the main reason for using a second brain is the following. It allows your brain to let go of remembering important information. Because here's the truth. We are only evolved to remember 4 things effectively, but we are amazing at recognizing patterns. The second brain is our servant, holding tons of information for you, while you are free to do what you are evolved to, which is creating insights. Moreover, this second brain is free to grow, enabling you to reuse past work, what you have done, whether professional or personal, and improve your performance faster. And when there is no obstacles to what you can imagine and manifest to the world, you will be amazed at what can happen to you. Your effectiveness and happiness in the world will go up with 10x and more. The world's most effective people are dedicated users of a second brain. And to illustrate the transformation, here's a personal story. In August 2021, last year, I started to treat my external brain seriously. I installed a new note-taking app, Mem.ai, and was adamant with capturing everything I thought was valuable at the time. And what immediately followed was an insistent and very tangible actually urge for online courses, including Earnable, Zero to Dangerous, and other, which I thought was very important at the time. Then I joined the startup incubator, testing out entrepreneurial ideas and eventually setting up with the current daily articles, podcast episodes, books, and also this YouTube video, and many more. And all of the articles, by the way, can you find at thetotalliving.com, where I talk about how you can be your best self and enjoy your life every second. In other words, a massive explosion in creativity and fulfillment and agency quickly rose, and because I was taking daily notes and saving information that I thought of and was looking across the web in Mem.ai and other file repositories. And I don't think it was a coincidence. Rather, I'm convinced that my second brain and extended memory allowed me to see opportunities that were there all along. Once I had my attention free from every clutter or stuff that was just in the way from the opportunities that I had. By saving up every interesting thing I consumed and previously created, daily content creation was super easy. No need to invent the wheel every day. And in fact, a second brain is the difference between people who create effortlessly and people who struggle with content creation. And to illustrate this, imagine you just got an empty but magic store right in the street. Everything you see and find interesting outside and inside suddenly shows up as an item in the shelves. The more you walk around the streets, talk to people and reflect, the more items are populating inside your store. And to the point that eventually you have to sell some items. You will quickly reach a tipping point in which there is too much and you cannot keep all the items to yourself except for expanding your store. And it is by selling that you get the profit to do so. The same goes for your second brain. All you find interesting becomes a part of you. You're floating around in abundance and cannot hold back from staring what you know in the world. You're consistently trying to alleviate the boiling pot that is you, and creating every day to people's need is how you advance quickly in life, financially and mentally. The expert and originator of second brains is Tiago Forte. His very recent book, Building a Second Brain, link in the description, is based on a very popular online course with the same name, teaching people to elevate their own creative potentials. The process of creating one is very easy and evolves as you progress in life. So now I'm going to talk about the 5 steps for creating your second brain, the one which I previously was talking about, your ideal servant for holding the information. And step 1 is to choose your note-taking app. As I previously mentioned, the note-taking app is your second brain, or your second brain is the note-taking app. It is a home for everything you want to save. And personally, I'm a big fan of mem.ai because of the following 7 reasons. 1, it's extremely easy to create notes. Just tap a button on your phone or simply type on your computer and you're good to go. And 2, advanced and lightning fast search bar, allowing you to quickly retrieve desired information. Then we got 3, timeline, which allows you to have a non-hierarchical history of where your notes are. This is going to be very important, as you will see later in this video. And 4, it's easy to hyperlink and tag. Just type the plus sign and the name. And 5, reliable sidebar, which you can store the most important and most referenced notes. Mem does not have folders, which is good, as you will see, but you can link other notes to a single one, functioning as a folder. Then you got flows and templates, allowing you to simply reuse past information and other advanced features. And finally, Surprise Mem. It's a feature by simply typing surprise in search bar. Mem will show you a random note which you have created. Repeat this process to review notes you could not select yourself. Surprise Mem is extremely powerful if you want to accelerate your creativity and inject randomness and serendipity in your life. These were the 7 reasons why I prefer mem.ai, link in the description, but there are many other note-taking apps, including Notion, Evernote, Roam Research, ClickUp, Apple Notes, Google Keep, Microsoft OneNote, Obsidian, Trello, Bear, Cellucast, and Standard Notes, you name it. There are a lot of them. But the key is to get started and not get too hung up with what tool you use. Choose the one who most resonates with you. Once you've selected one, create an account and simply dump the information, as you will see in the next step. Step 2. Whenever you find something interesting, useful, or insightful, save it in the note-taking app. If you come across an interesting article with some touching passages or an important highlight in the book you're reading, maybe someone wrote a social media post on Facebook or Twitter that filled it with empathy and wonder, or you might have found a breakthrough idea you always have wanted and looked for all along. In any of these cases, you want to save them to your note-taking app. If they are text on your computer, just copy and paste them to a new note. And if not, you can just type them or use pictures. And as a side note, you can, at least with iPhone's camera, use what's called live text in order to quickly grasp the text from a particular book. So let's imagine that you're reading a particular page and you find some text which you want to save for later. You can simply hold your camera right there, and then you will quickly see that you can select the text, copy, and then paste it to the note-taking apps. So in other words, if you're a pretty big fan of physical books, note-taking apps are very useful to you too. And that's pretty much a very cool feature of what you can do with different kinds of information. The important thing is this: you want to develop the critical habit of feeling, I like it, I need to save it, or this was important, I need to save it. Whenever you find interesting things from the web or by yourself, associate the feeling of excitement with the copy and paste to your notes. And as long as you do this, you will have no problem feeding your second brain. So this is something that you do all the time, whenever you're awake and find something insightful, because on step 1 you created it, but now you're into the maintaining one. But you might want to look back at your notes at some point. So how do you do it? This is step 3. Find your notes using the search bar, favorites and links. No other organization needed. Nowadays it's very popular to organize notes by tags and folders, but it's overrated for the following reasons. A system relying on tags forces you to consciously decide how all new notes relate to your existing ones. So in other words, you have to expel precious energy just by thinking about where you can retrieve it in the future. Aside from a scale problem, you must make no mistake at all, which is totally unrealistic. And the system relying on folders still forces you to decide which information belongs to which. You can use the same file in multiple instances, which requires some cognitive load, because now you have to decide, like, is it in that folder or in this one or in the one which I previously have forgotten, etc. So it could be kind of chaotic in that way. You also suppress the serendipity and randomness of seeing the file in multiple contexts and become less creative as a result. So in other words, do not waste time organizing when you only get tiny benefits. Use the following 3 ways instead to retrieve your notes. The most powerful one is search, which allows you to quickly get a file based on certain keywords regardless of where it is. Therefore, if you know or sort of know what you're looking for, you should always search for it. For instance, a keyword that sort of reminds you that particular note, etc. And as I mentioned before, my favorite tool, Mem.ai, has the fastest and most powerful search function ever experienced. Then we also have favorites, because some notes you want to revisit like all the time, or maybe not all the time, but at least every day or so. They might contain important checklists or have other relevant information attached to them. So it's simply too inconvenient to search for them all along. So therefore we have the favorite options, which allows certain information to be quickly accessible via a sidebar, which is commonly featured in many or most all of the note-taking apps. Then we have the third thing called hyperlinks, which allow you to relate different information on the fly, making them easy to go back and forth when you're working, creating some kind of a spider web of information which you simply go down the trails and then go back, link them together, etc. So they are temporary constellations and do not require extra overhead. So you get the benefits of folders without needing to organize it by simply using temporary links, which is the beauty of it. And in Mem.ai, you simply type the plus and the name of the note you want to link it to. So whenever you want to read a particular note, just search for it. If you're looking for it often, favorite it. And if it's interlinked with other notes, link them together. So you want to keep them together. No further complication than that. So now we covered step 1, creating the note-taking app. Step 2, having the regular habit of saving what's interesting to you. And now you also know how to retrieve the information. Step 4 is maybe a little bit more optional. Simply make your notes more readable by applying highlights on highlights. And what do I mean by that? Whenever you want to read your notes again, you want to make sure, or at least make it easier to your future self, to see what was the most essential message in it. Because every text has one particular passage or one particular key detail that stood out the most. And just as you saved the notes in the first place, or the information, you want to use and tap into the same intuition in order to have the judgment to get the most highlights on highlights. So how does it look like in practice? You start by bolding the most important information or words in that note, and amongst the bolded words, when you come back to it again and again and you find that this one was particularly interesting, then you apply a background highlight on that bolded word or words or sentences. And if you find that there are so many highlights and bolded words that you simply need even more ways of knowing what it was all about, then create an executive summary, just some bullet points at the top of the note, which shows you in detail what it was all about. So that you got the executive summary on the top, and then the regular highlights and bolded words in the regular word. So when you come back to the note, you have the executive summary on top and the highlighted words afterwards. But only do this with notes that deserve this special attention, because after all, your second brain should reflect what you find the most interesting in the moment. So if there is one particular note which is your favorite and you go back to it again and again, it should reflect your interest, or at least interest which was prevalent at the time you created it. So now we covered the 4 steps, but there's a 5th one, because after all, you want to use your notes as Lego blocks in order to create new information. The purpose of note-taking is to reuse it again in your own words. A report, book, article, assignment, or other creative project is ultimately a constellation of many pieces, which can be your notes. Therefore, you want to see your notes as Lego blocks, which you can quickly use to assemble a creation. Then you can reuse the same pieces for future creations. So you get this compounding interest of adding what's interesting and making new combinations of what's already out there. So in the end, you will spend less and less energy on creating and thus be able to achieve higher scale and improve the quality on that matter. Because after all, you only know what you make. Use the power of your second brain to make the world a better place. A quick summary of what you learned so far. The 5 steps for creating and maintaining your second brain are: 1. Choosing your note-taking app. 2. Whenever you find something interesting, useful, or insightful, save it in the note-taking app. 3. Find your notes using the search bar, favorites, and links. No other organization needed. And 4, which is more optional, but make your notes more readable by applying highlights on the most important words or passages in it. And 5, create effortlessly using your notes as Lego blocks. Once you have the note-taking system going, it will almost grow by itself. Your habit of saving what you like will populate your inner database of knowledge. You will directly see what you're capable of and can share your notes and what you learn effortlessly. The bar for creating has never been lower. You're only one note-taking app. Yes, one note-taking app away from unleashing your creative potential. So create an account on the note-taking apps, which I previously mentioned, and say what you like in there and let it all take care by itself. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter, where I dive deeper on one of the articles I publish every day for that particular week. Plus some other good stuff too. See you!